Hello, welcome to the Qualtrics basic training. This training will cover the basic features of Qualtrics to get you started on using the platform. Prior to using Qualtrics actively, it is required by George Mason University that you have completed or updated your FERPA training. You can find more information about the FERPA training on the George Mason Office of University Registrar website, which I will show you right here. Once you log into your Qualtrics account, the main page should look like this. However, if this is your first time logging in, the page would be blank with no projects. And also, if this is your first time logging in, we recommend that you change your temporary password. And in order to do so, you would just go to the upper right corner, drop down to account settings, and this is where you would make the change to your password. Also, please double check to see if you are under the right time zone. And if you're not, please make the appropriate change. This is to avoid any confusion in the future when you're distributing out surveys. Now to go back to the main page, click the XM logo here, or you can also drop down to projects and it'll take you back to the previous page that we were at. So today I will be going over how to create a survey in Qualtrics and also go over commonly used question types. So first thing is when you're creating a new survey, you press the blue button that says Create New Project. Then click Survey, then Get Started. This is where you'll be putting a name to your survey, and you don't have to spend too much time here because you do have the option to make that change later on if you need to. Then press Create Project. Okay, so this is what your page should look like when you start to create a new survey. And you can see this is where you can change the title of your survey if you need to. And this left panel is what you're going to use to make changes to your survey. So the first question type I want to go over is the text and graphic question. And this question type isn't a question at all. It's basically used to add an introduction or instructions to your survey, or you can display an image if you want to, and it's not really asking for feedback. So let me put in a couple of words here. And whenever you're making edits, all you have to do is click where you want to make the edit and just type away on your keyboard. And then to add a question, all you have to do is press this blue button underneath that says Add New Question, and you get to choose what type of question you want to add next. So for the second one, I want to add a matrix table, so I'll just click Matrix Table. And you can see right below that first question, it added a matrix table. So I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with the matrix table. So if you look to the left panel here, you can see the different edits you can make. For instance, I think it's important to know, so the different statements. So right now there's 3 statements. You can increase or decrease the number of statements using this part here. And same thing with the scale points. So let me put in a couple of words here. So you can either use your mouse to click the next part you want to edit, or you can also use your tab button on your keyboard. So for this case, I want to add 5 scale points actually. So I'm going to increase the number of scale points here. And then I'll also do the same thing with the statements. Okay. And Also, if you go to the left panel, you can see this part where it says to use suggested scale points. Personally, I think it's very helpful to use this. I think it's helpful because sometimes you're just not sure what type of wording you want to use. And if you click this, you'll see all the different scale points. And I just think it's a good place to look up some of the different options you have. So the next question I want to add is the multiple choice. So I'll do the same thing, just press add new question and then press multiple choice. And likewise, you would just click where you want to edit and type away. And then again, I'm just using my tab button to go down. And then to add more, I'm pressing enter on my keyboard. And then for the multiple choice question type, I want to mention, if you go to the left panel, once again, by default, it's set up as allow one answer, meaning the respondent can only select one of the choices. But if you have a question, for instance, the multiple choice questions that say that select all that apply, and you want to give them the option to select more than one choice, you would just press allow multiple answers. Okay, and now I'm going to add another question. And I'll just add another multiple choice. Okay, so for this question, I just wanted to show you, let's say I put other here and I want to give them the option to enter in their own text. I'm going to press this drop down and allow text entry, and it gives them an area where they can enter in their own words. And while we're at the topic of text entry, there is actually a question type called text entry question type, which I'll add next. And for this one, I'm giving them the space to put in their own words. For instance, it says, what recommendations do you have for improving this training? And I want to get feedback from them with an open-ended feedback. And you can also change the size of this space. So right now, if you go to the left panel, it's set as a single line text type. But if you want to make it bigger, you can either select the multi-line or essay text box. When you do so, it'll let you expand this text box here and give them more room to put in their words. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is called the display logic. And I'm going to go up here. And my third question here was the multiple choice. This question here says, overall, how would you rate your experience at the Qualtrics training? And they're given the option to select one of these options here. And then the question right below is, which of the following was the reason for your poor experience at the training? And I would want this question only to show up if they had selected either very poor or poor for the previous question. And in order to do that, I'm going to apply something called a display logic. And to do so, I'm going to click this second question here, go to the left panel, and if you go down, I can click display logic. So it says display this question only if the following condition is met, and I'm going to be setting those conditions. So I'm going to display this question only if question, the one right above, number 3, if they had selected very poor, or if they had selected poor, and then press save. So you can see here, that's where I had placed the display logic. So at this point, let me actually press this preview button, and it's going to show us what we have created so far. So I really think this is a neat feature where you can see the mobile version, because I know a lot of people take their surveys on their mobile device these days, and I think it's very helpful to be able to see this. So you can see we have our introduction here, our matrix table, and our multiple choice. And because we had placed the display logic, our text entry question is actually on the next page. But what I wanted to show you from this is you can see that these questions here are all on one page. And that's because we didn't put in something called a page break. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me exit out of that. Go to the top here. So if you hover over the first question, you can see where you can add a page break, and it'll visually show you where I had placed the page break. So I'm going to do that with the second one as well. And then you can put in the page break here, but since we have the display logic, it's already applied. But you can also place that there as well. And then I'll do so for all of the questions. And then now if you preview, you can see that our introduction is on one page, and then we could go to the next page where our matrix table, then our multiple choice, and then our text entry question type. So now I'm going to exit out of this. And another thing I wanted to show you is something called a block. You can see visually here, this is, we had created all of our questions on one block. So this was all one block. But you can see if I were to add another block, it's a separate category. And this is really used for when you have larger surveys and you want to kind of group similar questions together just to be more organized. And you can also use skip logics using blocks. So the difference between page breaks and blocks is that the blocks are more for the survey creator, and it's to help keep organized larger surveys. Whereas page breaks, it's more for the survey taker. Page breaks are used to help prevent survey fatigue and to improve the respondent's experience by breaking your survey into multiple pages. So now I'm going to show you different survey options. If I go to the far left, this is where the survey options are. And then I'm going to press responses. And I'm not sure if you noticed when we were on the preview page, there was no back button, meaning let's say they went on to like question number 3 and they wanted to go back to question number 2. They weren't able to do so, but you can give them the option to do that using this button here. So later on, when you're using Qualtrics and creating your own surveys, you can take a look at this page. There are a lot of different options you have for your surveys. And then I'm going to click security. And let's say you want to protect your survey using a password, you can do so using this option here. And also for survey access, by default, it's available to anyone, meaning it has open access. But you can also change it to invitation only. So the difference between these two is for open access, basically anyone can take it as long as they have the link to get into the survey. But you're not able to track who took it and who didn't. In order to do that, you would have to change it to invitation only. That way you're able to see who took the survey and who didn't. And you can use that to send out thank you emails or reminder emails. Okay, so now I want to go back to our survey using the builder option here. Then I'm going to go drop down here under tools, and if you need to print your survey, you can do so here. And if you want to export your survey to Word, you can do so here as well. So if you need to collaborate or share your survey with anyone, you can do so using this collaborate button. So if I click that, you can enter in their email and then press add and then press save. It'll send them an email saying that you have shared a survey with them, and they're able to basically see what you're seeing on Qualtrics and make edits on their end as well. And if you haven't noticed yet, if you look here, it says that it's been saved. So there's no save button. It auto saves, and you're able to see that right here. So if I want to go back to our projects page or the main page, I'm going to either click the XM logo here or drop down to projects. Then you'll be able to see that the survey we had created is right here. And so for every survey, if you go to the far right, there's the 3 dots. You can also collaborate using this collaborate button here, which is the same thing that I showed you. And if you needed to delete, you can do so here. And if you need to copy the project, you can also do that here as well. So if I click that, it'll go back to where we were making the edits. So I just want to point out some different distributions methods. I'm going to click this tab here. And you can see here, like if you want to get a link to your survey, you can press this button. And you can also distribute your surveys using the email feature within Qualtrics using the compose email button here. And when you do that, you're able to track who took the survey and who didn't, who you need to send out thank you emails to, and who you need to send out reminder emails to, basically. And let's say you want to use social media, you can use that here as well. And if you need to use a QR code, the option is available here as well. And if you go to the data and analysis tab, for the survey, obviously, we haven't gathered any data, so it's not showing anything, but the data would be available here once people start taking the survey. And you're able to export that information using this button. So if I go back to the main page, so I'm going to look at this one. And I'm going to export the data. So the reason I'm showing you this is to show you the difference between the anonymous link versus the email. So when the survey is taken through the anonymous link, it says here anonymous, and it doesn't connect with any email. So it's truly anonymous. And if the survey was taken through the email link, it shows here as email, and then it correlates with an email address. And that way we're able to track who took it and who didn't. And you can see the difference here in the data. So that ends our training for today. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at ula@gmu.edu. Thank you so much.